Good morning, this is Robin Beaver on the Crude Spread Talk on the 29th of June at 7:50 in the morning London time. As an overall view, Brent at the front is looking okay but a little bit vulnerable. At the back it's holding, both the DEC June and the DEC Red DEC are holding their 21-day moving averages, so no downside yet there. On WTI, altogether a little bit more vulnerable and looking as if it could easily head a little bit lower, but each contract is slightly, or each spread is just slightly different. We'll deal with that in a minute. But first of all, SpreadTalk Brent. Here's the chart, and it's holding its 5-day at -10, printing -9, and unless it fails there and starts to take out the 13 and 21-day, there's really no serious downside. It's looking a little bit ominous. It's got bearish divergence and negative stochastic. Then the 13-day is -14, the 21-day -18, and in this zone 14-18 it finds some good support with initial support at -10. No upside unless it can go back into backwardation and take out +2. And the hourly chart is suggesting here that we could easily recover, and not recover, but rally a bit in the London morning today. So look for a little bit of upside this morning early. And the OPNOV is fine while it's holding the 13 and 21-day moving average, which come in between -21 and 24. Only a close below -24 would really put the cat amongst the pigeons and suggest lower numbers to -36. Meanwhile, no upside unless it can really move back over the 8-day at -15 and then this set correction point at -9. It's struggling up anywhere near -9 and should be treated carefully. It's got a negative stochastic, but the hourly chart here is again suggesting that it perhaps has done a little bit too much back from the -12 level down to where we are now, and it could recover a few cents during the course of the morning. Now looking at the back end, the DEC June, in trouble, negative stochastic, but it's holding the critical -152 21-day moving average. No downside whilst it's above there. If it fails there, the odds are a move to the 34-day at -184. It's in trouble and remains that way whilst it's below the 5 and 8s, with the 8 cut the higher at -120. No upside unless back above there. And again, the hourly chart, having shed some value this morning on the left here, is suggesting that we're beginning to run into support, and I suggest that manifests itself at -152, the 21-day moving average. The DEC Red DEC is holding the 21-day moving average at -264. No downside whilst that's the case, but it's under pressure, negative stochastics. If it fails there, it heads lower to -312. Watch this -264 level very carefully. It's got plenty of resistance all the way up to -215, and I think it would find a move back up there, a bit of a struggle to get over -215. It's looking a bit toppy, but the hourly chart is beginning to suggest that we could have the beginnings of a recovery during the course of the morning. That will probably be a temporary correction. Nevertheless, it's held there's no target south whilst it holds -264. The DEC Red DEC has actually slipped below the 21-day at -90. That's not great, but if it gets back above here, it's deemed to be holding. And if we look at the left-hand chart, the 60-minute is suggesting that it could easily push a little bit higher. But whilst below -90, it looks vulnerable to a move back to -125. It's got a bearishly diverging stochastic, negative stochastic, so it's in a bit of trouble, but that's only manifested by staying below -90, and that could easily be recovered back over this morning. It's in trouble whilst it's below the 5 and 8-day moving averages between -72 and -66. Now moving on to WTI, and if we look at the front end, struggling a little bit, but it's all right whilst it's over -22. No target south whilst above -22. It's got the 13-day at -19, so between 19 and 22, good resistance. It's got good support rather. It's got resistance between -17 and -16, and no upside unless it can move over the 8-day at -16. It's got a negative and bearishly diverging stochastic, so I suggest AUG is going to come under a bit of pressure. The hourly chart, a bit like Brent, is suggesting there's a potential for a little bit of upside to recover some of the loss of value this morning. And the SpreadTalk is below the 21-day at -17. It's in trouble and looks like it's heading to -26. It's got a bearishly diverging stochastic, and it's in trouble whilst it's below -16. Its hourly chart is suggesting here that it could easily recover a little bit this morning, so don't be surprised by an attempt to move back and test that 13-day at -17 during the course of the morning. And on the DEC June WTI, it's in trouble whilst below minus 90. It's not below by much, it's minus 93. But if it stays below minus 90, it'll acquire a target to minus 125. It's struggling. It's got a bearishly diverging stochastic. It looks like it's in trouble, and that view is maintained whilst it stays below the 5 and 8 day moving averages between minus 72 and minus 66. The hourly chart is suggesting it's getting a bit overcooked and should recover. The DEC Red DEC is just holding its 21-day at minus 169. No target south whilst that is the case. Were it to move and close below 169 tonight, it would acquire a target to minus 227. It's got a bearishly diverging stochastic, but the hourly chart is beginning to suggest we might get a little bit of a recovery this morning. So watch this minus 169 very carefully, but this spread looks like it's beginning to get into trouble, and this would be manifested by being below the 21-day, which it's just holding at the moment. That's all for today, folks. Good luck, good trading, and bon appetit.